Mary Barra's story begins in Royal Oak, Michigan, a town shaped by the rhythm of American manufacturing. Her father worked for General Motors for nearly 4 decades, leaving early in the morning and returning home with the quiet pride of someone who built things with his hands. Mary grew up watching him go to work, listening to stories about the assembly line and absorbing the importance of responsibility and effort. Their home wasn't loud or dramatic. It was steady, humble, and filled with the values that would guide her life. From a young age, Mary was curious about how things worked. She wasn't afraid to take apart household objects just to see what was inside, studying the parts with a focus far beyond her age. While other children played outside, Mary often sat at the kitchen table, solving small puzzles or tracing diagrams she didn't fully understand yet. She found beauty in structure, in logic, in the elegance of engineering. Her parents noticed this quiet fascination, but they never pressured her. They simply encouraged her to keep learning. Mary wasn't the loudest student in the classroom, but she was one of the most observant. She listened carefully to her teachers, took meticulous notes, and completed every assignment with care. Her calm presence made her approachable, and classmates often turned to her when they needed help. She wasn't trying to stand out. She just believed that doing things well, really well, was a form of respect for herself and the people around her. As she entered her teenage years, Mary's interest in engineering grew stronger. She loved math and science, but she also loved the feeling of solving real problems. Her father would sometimes take her to GM facilities, where she would watch enormous machines move with precision. The noise, the smell of metal, the complexity of the assembly process, it captivated her. In those moments, she felt the spark of a future she didn't yet know how to describe. When it came time to choose her path after high school, Mary made a bold decision. Instead of taking a traditional college route, she enrolled in the General Motors Institute, now known as Kettering University. It was a place where students studied engineering while working directly in the automotive world. Mary stepped into that environment with a mixture of excitement and humility. She knew she wasn't just studying engineering, she was stepping into the same world her father had dedicated his life to. At the institute, Mary balanced rigorous coursework with hands-on experience at GM. She worked on the factory floor, wearing safety gear, walking between machines, and witnessing the extraordinary coordination required to build a single vehicle. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was deeply meaningful to her. She understood that every car represented thousands of hours of teamwork, engineering, and trust. These early experiences taught her something she would carry for the rest of her life. Real leadership starts with understanding the work of the people you lead. Mary's calm discipline and genuine respect for the workforce made her stand out. She didn't act superior because she was a student engineer. She asked questions, listened carefully, and supported the people around her. She treated every worker, technicians, engineers, managers, with kindness. This approach earned her quiet admiration long before she ever imagined becoming a leader. Even then, Mary was building something far more important than a resume. She was building character. As she moved through her studies, Mary began to envision a future inside GM, not because it was expected of her, but because it felt like home. She loved the challenge of solving engineering problems. She loved the process of designing something real, practical, and useful. And somewhere deep inside, she felt a sense of belonging in an industry that connected her past, her passions, and her purpose. By the time Mary graduated, she was no longer just a curious child fascinated by machines. She was an engineer with experience, determination, and a quiet confidence shaped by years of hands-on learning. She was ready to step into the next chapter of her career, one that would take her places no one could have predicted. When Mary Barra officially joined General Motors as a full-time engineer, she entered a world that felt both familiar and challenging. She wasn't treated like the boss's daughter or given special privileges. She started exactly where she believed she should, on the factory floor, shoulder to shoulder with the people who built the vehicles she had admired since childhood. The work was demanding, filled with long hours, unexpected problems, and constant pressure. But Mary embraced it with curiosity, humility, and a steady determination to improve every system she touched. In those early years, she learned lessons that no classroom could ever teach. She saw how a single design flaw could disrupt an entire shift. She understood how deeply workers cared about safety, precision, and pride in their craft. And she began to appreciate how complex an automobile truly was, not just as a machine, but as the result of thousands of decisions, small and large. Mary paid attention to everything: how teams collaborated, where communication broke down, and how leadership affected morale. It was in these everyday moments that her vision for the future quietly formed. As Mary moved from engineering roles into managerial positions, people noticed something unique about her leadership. She wasn't the type to bark orders or micromanage. She listened, carefully, fully, with intention. She asked questions that revealed she understood the challenges people faced. Her calm presence made even stressed teams feel grounded. Mary believed that leaders should remove obstacles, not create them. And the more she helped others succeed, the more her own potential became impossible to ignore. Over the years, Mary rotated through departments across the company: human resources, product development, manufacturing, and global operations. Each role gave her a new perspective, a deeper understanding of how GM functioned from every angle. She learned about corporate culture, engineering risks, supply chain management, and the emotional weight of making decisions that affected thousands of jobs. Through it all, she stayed anchored in the values that shaped her childhood: humility, discipline, and respect. Her time in human resources became one of the most defining chapters of her early career. Many engineers viewed HR as a step away from real work, but Mary approached it differently. She saw it as an opportunity to understand GM's people on a deeper level: their worries, their motivations, their frustrations, and their hopes. It was in HR that she realized something important. A company could only be as strong as the culture that held it together. Fix the culture, and you fix everything else. Mary's ability to connect with people, identify inefficiencies, and quietly inspire trust led to rapid growth in her responsibilities. She soon became known as the person who could walk into a struggling department and understand its problems within days. Her leadership wasn't dramatic or forceful. It was thoughtful, consistent, and rooted in empathy. She earned respect not through authority, but through her actions. And without realizing it, she was being shaped into someone capable of leading much more than a department. As the years passed, Mary's reputation within GM grew stronger. She was seen as someone who understood both the engineering and the human sides of the company, a rare combination in a traditional industry. Senior leaders began turning to her for difficult assignments, trusting her ability to navigate complexity with grace. Mary didn't chase promotions or titles. She simply did the work with integrity, knowing that responsibility would come when she was ready. Her path was steady, grounded, and deeply authentic. By the time she entered senior leadership roles, Mary had become one of the most respected voices inside the company. She had spent decades learning GM from the inside out, observing, listening, solving, and growing. Few people in the company's history had such a complete understanding of how GM operated at every level. And quietly, without fanfare, Mary Barra was becoming the leader who could guide GM into its next era. Soon, the company would need someone exactly like her. By 2014, General Motors was facing one of the most difficult moments in its long history. A massive ignition switch crisis had shaken the company, revealing deep problems in its culture, communication, and safety processes. Public trust was fading, employees felt anxious, and the world was watching closely. In the middle of this storm, Mary Barra, who had spent her entire career quietly earning respect, was appointed the new CEO. She became the first woman in history to lead a major global automaker, stepping into the role at one of the most challenging times imaginable. Most leaders would have begun their tenure with defensive statements or tightly controlled messaging. But Mary chose a different path. She approached the crisis with honesty, transparency, and humility, qualities rarely seen in corporate leadership at this scale. She sat before Congress, accepted responsibility on behalf of the company, and expressed genuine empathy for the families affected. She didn't deflect blame or hide behind technical language. She spoke with the calm strength of someone who understood the weight of every decision she made. Internally, Mary moved quickly to investigate what had gone wrong. She listened to employees at every level, not just executives. She encouraged people to speak openly, even if the truth was uncomfortable. Mary believed that real leadership meant creating an environment where honesty was not punished but valued. Her message was clear: safety would come first, always. And she wanted engineers, managers, and workers to feel empowered to raise concerns without fear. At the center of her response was a cultural transformation. Mary understood that fixing a mechanical problem wasn't enough. The company had to fix the internal behaviors and blind spots that allowed the issue to go unnoticed for so long. She pushed for a culture built on accountability, respect, and openness. She encouraged teams to challenge assumptions, prioritize customer safety, and collaborate across departments. Slowly, her calm leadership style began reshaping the entire organization. Despite the intense public scrutiny, Mary never let fear dictate her decisions. She didn't rush solutions for the sake of appearance or focus on protecting her reputation. Instead, she remained patient, clear-minded, and focused on rebuilding trust one step at a time. Her ability to stay grounded during such a turbulent moment became one of the defining characteristics of her leadership. Employees noticed, investors noticed, and eventually the world noticed too. As the crisis eased and GM regained stability, Mary turned her attention to the future. She knew that the automotive industry was entering a period of dramatic change. Electric vehicles, self-driving technology, and global sustainability concerns were reshaping consumer expectations. Instead of resisting these shifts, she embraced them. Mary believed that GM could lead the next era of transportation, not through dominance, but through innovation and responsibility. Her commitment to change was bold and immediate. She accelerated GM's investment in electric vehicles, pushed for cleaner technologies, and laid the groundwork for an all-electric future. Mary also encouraged collaboration with emerging tech companies, recognizing that the future of mobility would be shaped by creativity, not tradition. She was calm in her approach but ambitious in her vision. Under her leadership, GM shifted from a legacy manufacturer into an innovation-focused, forward-looking company. Throughout this transformation, Mary continued to rely on the qualities that had defined her entire career: humility, respect, and a genuine belief in people. She kept communication open, encouraged diverse perspectives, and made decisions with courage rather than convenience. Her leadership during these years reflected something rare, a blend of strength and softness, discipline and compassion. And it showed the world that calm leadership doesn't mean passive leadership. It means thoughtful, deliberate, and deeply human leadership. By the late 2010s, Mary Barra had become one of the most respected CEOs in the world. She had guided GM through crisis, modernized its culture, and set the company on a path toward a cleaner and more innovative future. Yet despite her success, she remained grounded, still the same person who once walked factory floors, asked careful questions, and listened more than she spoke. Mary didn't see herself as extraordinary. She simply believed in doing the right thing, even when the path was difficult. And it was this belief that prepared her for the next chapter of her journey. As Mary Barra settled into her role leading GM into a new era, she continued shaping the company with the same calm strength that had carried her through earlier storms. She believed that the future of transportation needed to be cleaner, safer, and more accessible to everyone. Instead of chasing trends or rushing decisions, Mary focused on long-term change, investing in electric vehicles, autonomous technology, and sustainability initiatives that would take years, even decades, to fully realize. Her approach was steady and grounded. She wasn't leading for applause, she was leading for impact. Under her leadership, GM announced a bold plan, a fully electric future with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. It was an ambitious goal, one that challenged the entire company to rethink how vehicles were designed, built, and used. Mary encouraged engineers, designers, and executives to embrace curiosity, experiment with new ideas, and let go of outdated assumptions. She knew the transition wouldn't be easy, but she believed it was necessary. The world was changing and GM needed to evolve with it. Beyond technology, Mary's leadership was deeply human. She believed in creating a workplace where people felt valued, safe, and heard. She championed diversity and inclusion, understanding that a company reflects the people who shape it. Mary supported programs that opened doors for women, young engineers, and underrepresented communities. She knew from experience that talent could come from anywhere, and she wanted GM to be a place where potential could grow without limits. Mary also worked to strengthen relationships with employees at every level: factory workers, engineers, managers, and executives. She often visited plants, walked production floors, and spoke with teams face to face. These visits weren't staged or performative. She genuinely wanted to understand the challenges people were facing. Hearing their stories helped her make better decisions and reinforced her belief that leadership wasn't about being the hero. It was about building systems where everyone could thrive. As GM entered a new decade, Mary continued guiding the company through uncertainty with steadiness and clarity. Global events, economic shifts, and evolving technologies brought constant challenges. Yet Mary never responded with panic or frustration. She stayed grounded, choosing empathy over pressure, listening over judgment, patience over reaction. Her leadership showed that calm doesn't mean indifferent, it means intentional. It means choosing clarity even when the world is loud. Over time, Mary became a symbol of resilience in an industry long defined by tradition and competition. She proved that leadership isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about staying aligned with your values, making hard decisions with integrity, and moving forward even when the path is unclear. People across the world, especially young women, looked to her story as proof that possibility can begin anywhere, even on a factory floor in Michigan. Looking back, Mary often credits her success not to ambition, but to the lessons she learned from her parents, from the workers she met as a young engineer, and from the challenges that tested her strength. She believes leadership is a privilege, not a title, and she carries that belief with her through every decision, every milestone, and every challenge she faces. Her journey is a quiet reminder that the most impactful leaders are those who never forget where they came from. Mary Barra's story is proof that calm leadership can shape entire industries. She reminds us that strength is not always loud, progress is not always fast, and greatness is not built overnight. It grows slowly through patience, honesty, and the courage to keep moving forward even when the road ahead is uncertain. Her path encourages all of us to stay grounded, stay curious, and stay true to our values, no matter where life leads. As this story comes to a gentle close, take a slow breath and let the quiet resilience of Mary Barra's journey settle in your mind. Let it remind you that your path, even if uncertain, can lead to extraordinary places when guided by purpose and integrity. Wherever you are tonight, trust that you are becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more capable with every step. Good night.